This is Umar for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me today on IFL TV is a very, very special guest. It is Nico Ali Walsh. You won't be able to see the picture behind me, but that is in fact Muhammad Ali's win over Sonny Liston, the second fight. And I'm joined by his grandson today. Nico, pleasure to get you on. How are things?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Great to get you on first time on the channel. Just talking off camera there about the picture behind me. Fan of that picture with your granddad there overlooking Sonny Liston?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. It looks beautiful in that canvas.
Yeah, it's an all-time classic photo, of course, and it is the debut for you on August 14th with Top Rank. Obviously, we'll come on to that, but I think the first place to start is, you know, there's going to be so much pressure for you coming into this sport where arguably the greatest fighter that ever lived, you're his grandson. So how do you manage that weight and burden on you, Nico?
Honestly, everyone says that it's a lot of pressure, but I believe everyone says it's a lot of pressure because, yes, to me, he's the greatest boxer of all time, but he's also just my grandfather. So it's a lot. I feel like I have as much pressure as any normal boxer would. You know, anyone getting in a fight feels the pressure of the fight, but to me, he's just my grandfather, so I don't feel that extra pressure.
Well, that is a good place to start. How much of a relationship did you manage to have with Muhammad?
We were very close. He was my only grandfather, so you know, people love to spend time with their grandparents, and he was my only grandfather. Unfortunately, because my other grandfathers had passed away before I was even born, so we were very close.
What age did it settle in that you wanted to do this as a living and you wanted to box professionally, Nico?
Well, I started with, I was with my uncle Mike Joyce doing foundation. I was doing charity fights for children's cancer foundations. But I was only 10 years old and I was just having fun with it. I wasn't serious about it. I would say I got serious about it after my first loss in the amateurs, I would say.
Okay. And how much advice did your grandfather give you about the sport?
He gave me a ton of advice. Every time I was with him after I started boxing, all we would do is watch, you know, footage of his Sonny Liston fight or, you know, other fight footage of his and then sparring footage of mine. So I was constantly getting advice from him in terms of boxing.
And I'm sure it's still sticking with you like that advice was yesterday.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything he said would seem so simple. It would seem like, you know, a lot of people would say, he would tell me things like eat right, you know, do the right thing, be the right person. And those seem like simple things, but coming from him, it had a lot more meaning to me.
Well, of course, yeah, very fortunate position there. I don't think you can get advice about boxing from a greater person than Muhammad Ali, rest his soul. So in terms of in a personal capacity, how was it having Muhammad Ali as your grandfather? I'm not talking about boxing here, just as a man.
Well, it was very interesting because I honestly didn't know he was like, I would say, famous, maybe the right word, until I was maybe 12 or 13. I didn't understand that concept. I probably still don't to some degree as someone is. I probably don't understand it as much as maybe you would, because, you know, he's been my grandfather my whole life. But, you know, it was very interesting, you know, going to movies and doing normal things that you would do with a grandfather, except having crowds of people around. So it was very interesting.
Well, yeah, to you, he was always your grandfather, but to
Yeah.
everyone else, not
It
even
was
just.
at his 70th birthday party. I'm sorry. That was when I noticed. He had his 70th birthday in Las Vegas, and that's when I started noticing that, hey, I think a lot of people know my grandfather.
Why? What happened?
I was looking up to a lot of people, whether it be musicians or actors, and they were there at the party, you know, celebrating his birthday. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I think at that point, and I was 12, that's when I slowly started understanding it.
I mean, as I was saying, to you, has just always been your grandfather, but to everyone else, not just a sporting hero, not just a boxing hero, but one of the best people to ever live. And of course, one of
Right,
the most
right.
famous people in terms of what he did for people outside of the ring as well. How much or how aware were you of that growing up?
I mean, my whole life growing up, I heard of the stuff he was doing outside of the ring. I didn't learn of, the boxing stuff because I don't feel that was important as a kid for me to learn. I was learning life lessons growing up, and he was just the person to look up to as an example for these life lessons. And it was the humanitarian stuff that he was doing outside of the ring. It wasn't the boxing, but I've learned so many lessons just from what he's done outside the ring.
Mm.
And like never complain. Just the biggest thing I would say is just being a good person, and something that sounds so simple that it seems it's almost like it's not as common as you would think today. But
Mm.
yeah, I learned a lot from him outside of the ring, not in the ring.
No, I totally hear that. And of course, this journey is about you. You've already accomplished a lot in the amateurs, and obviously, you got your pro debut on August 14th. But how much is this about also carrying on Muhammad Ali's legacy as well?
Yeah, I mean, carrying on his legacy is something I've never taken lightly when I knew that I was going to box professionally. Um, but it's also important to me to carry on my grandfather's legacy. I know to everyone else, it's important for me to carry on this legacy from this great boxer and this larger than life figure. And that's very important to me. But to me, it's just my grandfather. And so I want to carry on his legacy while also, creating a legacy of my own. And I just think it'll be a very fun ride for me.
Well, as I said, it's the first time we've had you on the channel, and I can see you're already a good talker.
Thank you.
Obviously, we know where you get that one from.
Yeah, right. It might just be genetic. And my mom's a speaker too, so
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be great with the media moving forward. So August 14th, you've signed with Top Rank and Bob Arum again, continuing the Ali tradition. Just talk to me about signing with Bob Arum.
I mean, to me, something that people will come to learn about me is that I love tradition, and I love when things stay in the family. And it's someone I trust in Bob Arum. He promoted 27 of my grandfather's fights. His first ever fight that he promoted was my grandfather. So it seems like this big loop, and history repeats itself, and that's the way I see it. And there's no other person I'd rather be with in boxing, and it's a huge honor to be signing with Top Rank and to be at this point now.
What's he said to you ahead of your pro debut, and also when you went to see him when you signed with him? What did he say?
Well, when I first met with him, my uncle has known him for a while. Obviously, my family's known him, my mom's known him. But I first when I first met him, I he told me about the pressures of fighting, and especially under this name, because obviously he was with my grandfather. He saw his heydays, his prime. But my uncle, who's also my manager, he set up the meeting, and I don't know, they were just able to. It wasn't a business meeting, uh, which is great. There was just a sort of synergy because my uncle knew him, and he knew my grandfather. Obviously, he knew my mom already, so it was just I felt like there was an immediate connection, and that was the most important thing to me.
Okay, sounds good. What weight do you think you'll be campaigning at, and where are you fighting on August 14th?
Right now, I believe it's 162. It's going to be middleweight
Okay.
for the pro debut.
Okay. Do you believe, like, moving forward as well, you will be a middleweight, Nico?
I'm not too sure. I believe Mr. Aram was the guy who threw in the middleweight idea, but I just turned 21 the other day, so I'm still growing. I don't know where I'll end up at.
Okay. And I also understand that you've been training at the Top Rank gym with
Yes.
Sugar Hill, who's going to be part of your team, Sugar Hill.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's an honor to be training with him, but you know, it's just everything's been falling in place. You know, whether it's the top ranked gym or training with Sugar, or you know, everything's been falling in place. And another thing is I really look up to Tyson Fury, and it's crazy to think that I'm training, you know, around him, or I was at least. But you know, I'm learning a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
whenever I spoke to Tyson, he without question says his favorite fighter is your grandfather. I'm sure he's told you that as well. What has
Yeah.
Tyson Fury told you though? Has he given you any advice so far, Nico?
When I first met him, he told me, I told him how many amateur fights I had, and he told me that he had only 35 amateur fights. And he said, you know, some people get caught up with saying you need to have this amount of amateur fights, whether it be 100 or, you know, over 50. He said, honestly, I believe if you can fight, then you can fight, whether you've got the amateur pedigree to back it up or not. And I really, that just really stuck with me. And he's right though. You know, there's some fighters that have had really short amateur careers, but they've been able to do wonders with it. So, you know, that's the way that I'm looking at it now.
Okay, Nico, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Really wish you the best of luck for your professional debut, August 14th, which will be on Sky Sports live in the UK and obviously on ESPN Plus in the States. Just before you go, I can't let you go and not ask.
I'm sorry. Another thing is, I think it's crazy. I think it's perfect that the people in the UK are going to be able to watch it through Sky Sports, because my grandfather's UK fan base was probably his best, in my opinion, if I'm being honest. So I'm very happy that, and I've got a lot of friends in the UK. I've got a lot of people who wanted to watch it, so I'm excited that they're able to watch it now.
You're absolutely right. He's probably one of the most popular sportsmen, and obviously he's not even from here, but just in the UK.
Right.
Boxing, just one of the most popular men, really.
Yeah, they treated him like he was.
Well, he thoroughly deserved it as well. But just, I was going to ask you before you go, I can't let you go and not ask, what is your favourite Muhammad Ali fight, if you could pick one?
My favorite fight of his is, I would say, the Rumble in the Jungle. I don't know why. I was always watching that fight with him. So, and he was a huge underdog in that fight. Foreman was a monster, and I literally watched that fight with him so many times. So I would have to say that's my favorite fight.
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. A truly historic fight. Nico, listen, best of luck on August 14th.
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to speak to you on IFL again soon. All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.